This is the Halloween special. How Harvard 3. Here at the Reparation School, we teach hatred for the white devil, more hatred for the white devil, and volleyball. I guess they're gonna be my slogan. You heard me for the rest of the Halloween holiday season. I'm making a short film for a Halloween special. Hopefully I can have it done before Halloween. And it's basically gonna deal with a Tales from the Hood twist, a How Harvard 3, which basically, when I made that short on my YouTube, this girl from UCLA, she was like, well, you know, I said, what's going on at the school? Well, Trump has took all of our funding and he's closing our school. And I said, well, do you know why he's closing your school? And she said, no, I don't know. I said, because no one at your school has articulated why. I said, do you know what the XX and the XY chromosome is? Keep in mind, this is supposed to be the #1 medical school in the world. She didn't even know. I said, XX is female, XY is male. So if you can't even get simple biology right in college, you are pretty much an idiot. So let's just throw so your whole medical funding, you heard me, gonna probably be defunded forever, because even if you was to ever tell the truth about it, you would have to lie about the lie you've been telling in DEI. Another thing you would have to take out is the English language, right? You heard me, because you keep trying to tell people that he is he and she is she. That means pronouns, synonyms, antonyms, suffixes, vowels, and all of these different consonants, you heard me, in the English language. A lot of people think you speak English better than me. English is called the phonetic alphabet. You heard me, it's an aboriginal language. They just call it English. Like I could change the franchise McDonald's and call it McDowell's, like on Coming to America. But it's still not the same thing. So if the word shoe is spelled S-H-O-E, right? We know what a shoe is. But if I change the vowel of the E to an O, S-H-O-O, that means get away from me. It changes the meaning of the word. The word diversity is a financial term. Biodiversity doesn't mean a bunch of people kicking it together. It means breeding. So if you can't even speak English properly, you don't know nothing about biology, who in their right mind would ever fund you? Keep in mind, a lot of people, right, you hear me, especially the Democrats, wonder why valedictorians or people that's actually educated don't kick it with them. You're a whole retard. Smart people don't hang with dumb people. Keep in mind, say for instance, if you work a job, the business owners don't kick it with the employees. Go to your job today and see if the owner want to hang with you. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't. He wants you to be at work on time, probably, but that's about it. Matter of fact, you heard me, married couples only kick it with other married couples. I also talked to my dad. He said, Marcavius, why do all them weird people be in your background? I said, because they're caught up in domestic violence relationships. You ever see people, they be beating women, right? I was watching Tales from the Hood. This man, he was beating his woman because the kid had told the teacher, you heard me, about the things that go on in their home. A lot of white people, when I see these women, the reason they're scared because they're going home and they're beating these women and these kids, you heard me, to sit there and try to tell a DEI lie. I'm very much well aware of that. I'm very much well aware of that. But it obviously ain't happened to me. That's why they and the police ain't helping, because they engaged, right, in the human trafficking. They engaged in the lie with you. It's not really the fact that the National Guard is taking over the police station. It's just they weren't even doing their job neither. They caught in the same fraud. Like I said, listen to Manly P. Hall, the Master Mason, and Mystical Lies of Native Americans. That's why they're indicting FBI agents and police officers lately. That's sad. Because they're engaging with having sex with children also. Now that's a sickness, you heard me, that a disease, as they say in the Mystical Lives of Native Americans, that real aboriginals, we ain't even trying to fix that when people sick like that. That's a sickness that has to be solved amongst themselves. No one can help them. Like I said, I had a dude, he was a street nigga a couple weeks ago. I seen him, he said, yeah, man, this girl, she finna give me some of this cat. Next thing you know, his back was broke. Yeah, these women and these men, like XX, like I said, XX is a female, XY is a male. Even if you was to ever admit it, that means you would have to admit you have been receiving funding to commit fraud. So either way it go with the Democrats, you hear me, you're lying. And you're stalking and you're raping women, you hear me, pedophiling children. You'll never be able to get out that scandal. I don't know what, like, you know, so that's a whole Halloween spooky special in and of itself, if you really thought about it. That's the truth about it. I mean, what's scarier than that? When you got people that's supposed to teach biology in the medical school, knowing what chromosomes are, and literally lying, and then still asking for funding for it, even to this day. And it's a damn lie that even a 9th grader that take biology dissecting frogs could figure out. Stupidity is the new COVID. Another thing, like LA Film School, they like, they like, wow, the teachers in there, I had one of the guys I was in school with, he said, man, they ain't even teaching us shit in there no more. I said, because they know they finna get a life sentence. I said, anybody, even a dummy, you hear me, they only went to college for one semester and got a student loan, know the money come out before school even start. There's no trial period. If you can stand on one leg and bark like a dog, then they cut you your check. You could be a damn fool and get the check still. You could fail the goddamn class. You could actually drop out the class and still get the money. You heard me? You'll have a student loan debt. So that's fraud. Exploitation, right? Really treason and conspiracy. You hear me? Those are life sentence charges, right? You hear me? You gotta understand it. All of this was done by homosexuals. Like I said, the word biodiversity is breeding. No person, but see, when you start lying about chromosomes, you start lying about biodiversity. I had to tell people some other shit. I said, what type of street world you come from? I said, do you know they used to have a website called Rotten.com? They said if you get on Rotten.com in the 1990s, if you get your dick chopped off and put in your mouth, that means you committed treason in South America. That's what that used to mean. That's why you scared to go back to your country, because you committed treason. I come from the street world. That's why I don't worry about getting in trouble in the streets, because it'd be hard for you to tell that lie and pretend you street around me, because I'm a real street nigga. That evolved to what they say, the military, that evolved to a priesthood. Not the Jesus turned the other booty cheek priesthood, but the Order Melchizedek priesthood. Which is only one person. They don't even have the Order Melchizedek 501D schools anymore. I was the last graduate to come out to school. They closed it after I went to school there. My elementary school don't even exist no more. And I had the best grades in the world. Once I pretty much get hold of something, it's like what the pimp say, when I get a bitch, I got a bitch. You couldn't do nothing with that hoe after I got her. That's the truth about it. I had this guy, here's another spooky special. He was a street nigga at first. He met a girl out here in West Hollywood. He was homeless. Fine white girl. Talking about, yeah, man, she finna give me some of that coochie. Next thing you know, he got his Buddha hole played in. These women, these prostitute of Babylon, when you get that diversity shit is that prostitute of Babylon thinking, telling these Siamese twin head men, you hear me, that all of them can be the same. That's what that means. 10 women, 10 men, because I had an analogy. I said I'd rather have 100 friends that were billionaires than a billion friends I couldn't get $100 from. And I'd rather have, if 10 men have sex with one woman, then she will be on Mara or Jerry Springer confused about who the baby daddy is. But if one man has sex with 10 women, when none of them be confused. And this is another fraud you caught in. Another thing I had to teach, I said the economics, right? You heard me. I seen a woman with a t-shirt. You heard me. What's the most scary shit? The level of stupidity in business is called supply and demand. If all these men been fagged, which is actually slavery, you heard me, in public school, whenever you see homosexuality, a construction worker, and homeless people, that's called the transatlantic slave trade. The British people explained that to the Aboriginals in America. That's a slave trade, whether you were aware of it or not. Anybody you hear me that know history know that's what that means. Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, that's the same shit. You hear me? The transatlantic slave trade, sub-Saharan slave trade, it's the same shit. If you see homeless people on drugs and gay people in the school, right? You hear me? That in construction work going on, you hear me? Around schools and children, you hear me? That's a slave trade. But I wanted to explain to her another thing, because a lot of women they make coochie expensive again. I'm like, we can't. Because due to the fact the women are, in fact, like I said, you cannot have a homosexual society unless it's a matriarchal society. It's impossible, because that means the women are in charge. They let every man have sex with them that they can't control, to try to use those men to control the men that they can't, and realize anytime a heterogeneous and homogeneous war breaks out, the heterogeneous male, that's why I say in the Bible, one of us could destroy 1,000 of them, and two heterosexuals could destroy 10,000. Because they weak and they fighting for nothing. Versus we are actually fighting, you hear me, for real morals, values, and principles and code of ethics on what God loves. They're fighting to keep having sex with children. That ain't the same thing. So our heart be in it. Right? And you're already guilty of it. See, a lot of people try to glorify those Epstein files and those Weinstein files about human trafficking with the kids. What about all the kids that the DEI people got? 300,000 kids in elementary schools unaccounted for in the United States. Who's worse, Epstein, Weinstein, or the homosexuals with DEI? I say the DEI. Because they got way more kids than Epstein them ever could. Keep in mind, how much manpower, military power would it take to recover them 300,000 kids the homosexuals kidnapped? Yeah, it take a lot of manpower. But let's get back to supply and demand, right? You hear me, right? When we're dealing with economics. If a supply of women is high, all the men are gay, right? But the demand is low. What does it do to the price? Anybody that went to business school, like I said, if you don't know biology, you don't know the English language, you can't speak it because you're retarded. Also, economics, mathematics, what they call reading, writing, and arithmetic. You don't know that neither, because what happened to the price? It dropped. Women are worthless now. That's why OnlyFans is free. No economist is confused about that. A cigarette is more expensive than a woman nowadays. That's the truth about it. But tobacco always been a $1 billion industry, right? You hear me? But so all of those charges will stick, right? You hear me? XXXY chromosomes. You didn't get that wrong by mistake. You're a rapist, a stalker, and a pedophile. And you can't beat that charge. Women enslave themselves. All the men around you are gay, but it's a lot of y'all, so the price drops. That's business. Anybody in the business know that. That's what any commodity in the world. So you did it to yourself. Those are self-inflicted wounds. Like I say, in the mystical lives of Native Americans, we can't fix that for you. You're plagiarist. Like they just indicted the Attorney General in New York. Why? For plagiarism. White people sit around me listening to my conversation like they gonna make some money. You gonna be the next motherfucker with a plagiarism charge. That's how they catching these charges. You hear me? White people come around me like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to Marcavia's conversation. It's gonna financially empower me, and I'm gonna go to the bank and make some money. Next thing you know, you getting defunded, getting all your workers deported because you stealing. See, I'm a professional at documentation. Why? Because I have a tax status. I'm the person that actually do it. Right? All that clout chasing culture, right? You hear me? Like, motherfucker, you should have been chasing a library down, you hear me, getting the education, instead of trying to be seen in grown people background. Keep in mind, you've never seen me ever probably, there's no video ever in human history, you hear me, all my years of living, I ever been trying to be seen in the background of a music video, a movie, a YouTube, nothing. But crackers do it every day because they don't have no creativity. Zilch, period. So in a land of where people are talented, well, once talented anyway, there's no talent. They don't know business economics, they don't know biology, and they don't speak the English language properly. How could you ever get funded, and why would anybody with an actual education ever sit around you? Period. Let me show you my environment right now. Bam. One man sitting here doing nothing in a park. Keep in mind, I'm at this park all the time. Look at how these people just sit here and pause and do nothing. Look at these two white folks, right? You hear them just sitting there pretending to have a conversation. Right? You gotta understand, when you in the military, we do something called pay attention to detail. Watch your routes that you run. When you start seeing people places they ain't been, start watching their routines, right? You hear me? See, we already got the evidence of your stalking down now. It's the whole, hey, please don't say nothing. Please don't say nothing that's going. You've incriminated yourself. You lied about XY chromosomes, right? And told kids, you hear me, that a man is a woman and a woman is a man. That's a crime. Because any biology ninth grader would know the answer to that. That's a crime. You didn't get biodiversity and diversity wrong. You hear me? Those words can be defined in the dictionary. So that's what they call Letitia James falsification of documentation, because you can't get that wrong if you have a degree. But here's the problem. A lot of these people got fake degrees, fake certificates, fake businesses. Your education fake. I can put a suit on a junkie, you hear me, on Skid Row and cut his hair, you hear me, and he'll look like a Bama car. To you, you'll think he a boss till he start talking. A lot of these men that just sitting around, I'm like, what? And then this the truth about it. I done beat up majority of these people in this neighborhood have been around here looking crazy and had them defund, and they still do it. And it's like roaches, you hear me? I was like, let me go ahead and defund you too, deport your workers too, you hear me? Like for real, because that's a sickness in your head. You already lying. Then you still keep coming around me and then say, oh, him did it, he beat me up, he sent the military after me, yeah, because you're a stalker. And I hope I just answered my dad's question, right? You hear me? I don't go around standing next to them while they at work, you hear me? But they have a bad habit of standing next to me when I'm at work. If I get up and beat them up, you hear me? Then they be around here looking crazy. We're not friends. Keep in mind, you're not my customer. You don't buy no product or service from me. So why the fuck are you even around me? To interrupt what Taj Tariq Bey say, distractions. But it's not distracting me. Because I already know you're going to jail for a life sentence. So I don't give a fuck. I already know that you're going to get fucked in the ass just like you like to and in jail. Probably stabbed and killed, you hear me? Because majority the men going to be in there for pedophilia. They stab people in jail for that pedophile charge. So they going to fuck you in your ass when you get in jail. When they find out you've been having sex with kids, they going to stab you up, you hear me? That's your future. That's your future. These unwanted interruptions, right? You hear me? So we ain't got to get into Fibonacci sequence. That's what Einstein called what the Nazis were doing, Brownian motion. Einstein had to define what the Nazis were doing during the time of eugenics. They were trying to control social interactions by interrupting people. Doing in science was called Brownian motion. Just random ass shit, you hear me, to stop, you hear me, compound interest, you hear me, and building up momentum, you hear me, for financing. I call it in law stalking, you hear me? I don't even get into the Einstein shit of it, you hear me? But that's the science behind stalking. Keep in mind, a man at Scientology just got a whole life sentence for the same shit, you hear me? Like I said, they mind like roaches, you hear me? Like, motherfucker, you on a whole camera stalking people. Then you be like, hold on, why they charging me? Why are they defunding my school? Why are we getting deported? You a stalker and a pedophile. What the fuck? Who wouldn't do it? You rape women and beat them, you hear me, right? Because the word domestic violence, word the men that beat these women, in Article 4 in the Constitution, they say, where does domestic violence come from? You hear me? It'll amaze you what the domestic violence clause is in your civil rights. Guess where it's in public records. When you see these men that be in my background like this here, those them men that beat bitches, you hear me, and rape women and rape kids. How do we know? Because when you looking for domestic violence abusers, all you gotta do is wait till something being public recorded. The people that show up, those the people that beating the women and raping the children. But see, this the thing. I'm not a woman. I'll beat their ass, and I've been beating their ass. You hear me, right? But the military said we got something better. We have specific locations called Guantanamo Bay and Alcatraz, where we take them somewhere, you hear me, off to a nice place and strangle the shit out of them. Because that's the only thing you deserve. Like I said, if you want to study domestic violence in the Constitution, where is it located? In Article 4 called public records. Whenever you're recording something publicly and there's somebody in your background, that's the person that's doing domestic violence in your neighborhood. Keep in mind, I document how it's done. Whenever you see a man pretending to talk to a woman as an excuse to stir at you, that's the P. Diddy charge. Trump caught the same charge. Remember, Trump wasn't necessarily caught in fraud, but he was only charge he actually caught that stuck, but he paid the woman off was using women to meet men. That's the same P. Diddy charge. That's called the Abraham Sarah 400 years of slavery. That's the only charge they actually got him on. But far as the pedophile and children and domestic violence, man, Rich, man, truth be told, you heard me, that he didn't do. That's why he had more leverage in the race than Joe Biden. Joe Biden was guilty of bribing OnlyFans bitches. He found guilty of bribing OnlyFans bitches to come to South Central and set up black people. That was their charge. Keep in mind, like I said, in California, white people have a bad habit of pretending to do business with black people. Y'all try to go in doing business together. Both of y'all catch the charge. They sneak. They say you are the mastermind. Like I said, there's no way the gangbangers could have been the mastermind of a DEI fraud when the LAUSD, majority of them niggas can't read and write, and truth be told, they can't speak different languages. You could be an uneducated money maker. A rapper can make $1 million without a high school diploma. Kobe is a multi-millionaire. He didn't have a damn high school diploma. That ain't got nothing to turn. With black people, we don't necessarily have to have an education to know how to make money. We have something besides the education called talent. Sometimes talent, like in the Bible, is real money. Something they'll never have. So they don't even have talent or an education. I'm like, that means that's why the big beautiful bill and the CHIP Social Security Act said there's no competition in the market anymore. So I had to look at the business world, the way the dope game used to go. If you the person with all the dope, all the hoes, and all the money, and everybody else is going down, it's supply and demand again. Wait for all of them to go into a drought. When all of them go into a drought, basically everybody defunded, everybody in a scandal. When you the only person that still got a legal business, what happened? Your price what? Go through the roof. That's economics. Now you control what? The market. I already know how to control the market. My company ain't in no scandals, right? You hear me? Like nothing at all. I done survived everything. Like I said, there's only 4 people in the history of the United States that ever been a RICO Act. Donald Trump, Bumpy Johnson, Shakira, and me. Like I said, even if, like, say for instance, people say, I know some of your, say for instance, people said, the DEI people say, I want to get to this injunction. I said, that's my injunction from 2013. Heard the problem, right? That's a RICO Act case. Well, I went from the street world in the military and became a priest of the Order of Melchizedek and delineated, from those BMF, those Craig Pettis and them fake El Chapo niggas, you hear me, real talk, that were caught in the human trafficking scandal. Remember, Joseph in the Bible did the same shit. Remember, his brothers, the Israelites, were caught in the human trafficking scandal. But when he got caught, right, you hear me, that nigga ended up over distribution, all the distribution of the storehouses. Because he was with the Pharaoh and the priest. But his brothers were caught in what's known as trafficking. Remember, they said that they had to go to the land of Goshen. They were like, man, before find out you doing some shit like this here, they gonna kill y'all. I ain't if Joseph went the first person to do it. Melchizedek done it in the Bible. It's been done by many. Matter of fact, the man Alejandro Medici, after 1492, right? You heard me. He was an extension of King John Great in the Treaty of Tordesillas, right? Remember, all the blacks and the Jews went into slavery in 1492. But yet one of them niggas, you hear me, right? You hear me, Alejandro Medici, that nigga was still free and owned the bank. How did he do it? Y'all stupid. It's the same. Matter of fact, like I said, the Jewish culture, they're lying. There's no person last name Stein in the Bible. Now, the Christmas is coming up. I got to come with a Christmas special and a Thanksgiving special, too. What is the Hanukkah story? That's the John Maccabees, or what they call, like I said, W.E.B. Du Bois and Gerald Massey are the real men in black stories. That's the real men in black story. It's when Gerald Massey was getting old, he wanted to pass his knowledge down to a younger generation, but nobody in his family was smart enough to know it, so he gave it to W.B. Du Bois, right? And W.B. Du Bois would later give it to Bumper Johnson, so on and so forth throughout history. That's how it worked, right? But like I said, like if you read the Bible, right, you hear me. What gonna happen when you see the real Horus Osiris stories of a man named Makeba John, his son Dylan, and his mama Renee, and then you realize you ain't got nothing to do with that culture. You hear me? When you talking about the Holy Trinity. They got their birthdays. It matched me and my son's birthday and my baby mama. You hear me? So your whole zodiac fraud, you hear me, just went out the window. And it also say at this point, if I win a petition for writ of habeas corpus, I would have did a writ of mandamus, that you women would catch the Martha Stewart 9-month charge before you got out of it. But a lot of the men around you would catch 10, 20 years. That's the truth about it. Some of them would get the death penalty. Remember, the Jews went into exile in Babylon, but John Maccabees and his mama and his dad and his 4 brothers, they didn't go into exile. The Jews did. That's the Hanukkah story. Yeah, y'all might go into slavery, you hear me? Matter of fact, you're actually in slavery now. Whether you're aware of it or not, what is slavery? When there's homosexuality in a school, in construction, and crackheads around, you hear me? That is called a slave trade. Whether you're aware of it or not. Now, do some people, right? Remember, that's another movie during the time of the Holocaust, right? Called Schindler's List. Remember, people with legal businesses, the Nazi party couldn't fuck with it. So a lot of people used to want to get on the Schindler's List. Remember? See, here's the problem, though. I kept my company a sole proprietorship for that very reason. So if I ever found myself, remember Keppera itself, the company, it means Corleone. That's the Italian family. That's the relationship. But here's the problem, right? Because like I said, I had ran into the same problem in court. Like every time you try to DEI, people say injunction. The reason why it pissed me off so bad, that's a RICO Act case. That is the BMF case. That's the El Chapo. That's the case. The Craig Pettis case, the El Chapo, that's the case. I'm the person that became a priest of the Order of Melchizedek. I'm the last person that went to the 501D Apostolic Organization, you heard me, and got the tax status. They didn't know it no more than your teacher at a school know it, but the schools had always, those spiritual system schools had always existed legally. Like you have a 501(c), that's a church, tax exempt organization, but a 501D is an apostolic organization. It's called Tribal Aboriginal Nations. The Social Security system, the national debt, the $37 trillion, that's the 40 acres in it, that's the Social Security system. Owed to Negroes, not free white people. You free and dumb. You're not even free, you're in slavery. That's the truth about it. That's why I sent the military to Memphis. Why? Because I learned that they had DEI programs. I said, that's slavery. They ended it. Soon as I filed it, they ended it immediately. Look who it's coming from. Like I had a cousin went to the University of Memphis, and he used to hang around me sometimes too. Now inadvertently he caught a plagiarism charge, but I didn't think that because he was around me he would ever try to write that shit on a piece of paper and make a grade or some money off of it. That nigga got kicked off the dean list and out of school. They said, no, Marcavis already wrote that. I try to warn, I give people fair warning when you sitting around me, right? You hear me? You dealing with a nigga that done dealt with life sentences, military, my upper echelon security clearances. So have your shit together when you come. I wouldn't give a fuck. Listen, you got to understand that WAB and tax statuses give you power over, I don't give a fuck with the DEA, ATF, FBI, Attorney General, even the president. You hear me? I have a say-so on it. But over it. They really never fuck with me behind it. But I do have a responsibility, which is the dependence of the government personnel, their children. So that's my actual responsibility. So if I find out, you hear me, that you're around here bagging kids in school, you're damn right I got something to say about that, because that's the job. So I see these creepy crawlers around here, around these kids and shit. And I say, oh, well, but how these people kill around here? But I think that's a solution. Yeah, I legally can say that because that's the job. Oh, you putting kids in slavery in schools? Oh, okay, you hear me? I got something for you. Keep in mind, even if you were to ever admit that you know what an XXXY chromosome mean, that still wouldn't change the fact that now you admitted that you're wrong. You know what the fuck you were talking about, that you still committed fraud just like Letitia James did. Because you falsified paperwork, and how are you the #1 medical school in the world and you don't even know what the fuck chromosomes are? XX is what? Female. XY is what? Male. Anybody that speaks the English language, right? Like I used to tell people, like I put the word hip-hop up there. Hip-hop and OnlyFans is the same thing. I put the hip-hop Haru, hip-hop array about the Indians, you hear me, and the Aboriginals, you hear me, that white, they call it the crook in the fan, or what they call crook and flair. You watching her, because it keep you out the scandal. All of this shit had already been written. That's why OnlyFans is Egyptology. It's the same shit, because what it does is it keep, because the devil is always sitting there trying to sit around to see what woman the Pharaoh talking to. So the Pharaoh created the crook in the fan, or what they call OnlyFans. Why? To keep him out of our motherfucking business, because he a buster, a stalker and a rapist and a pedophile. That's what that's a 5,000 year science. That's not new. The drinking and the smoking, right? The resources that grow out the ground, that shit ain't new, because all of that played a role in it. Even Aleister Crowley said, motherfucker, the thought itself, you hear me, generate wealth in the world. Aleister Crowley might have been a damn fool, but Aleister Crowley said, I don't give a fuck how much magic you know. If that Patah nigga born on 7-Eleven, reorder of Golden Dawn by Aleister Crowley. He said, I don't give a fuck how much of this magic you ever learn. If that nigga's 7-Eleven never show up, that Patah nigga, DeMar John nigga, you fucked, you hear me? I'm the real nigga that stopped Pinocchio from going on Pleasure Island, nigga. And you really fucked, that's the truth about it. Keep in mind, I ain't never had, my intentions were to never know this shit. I live my life like Johnny Depp on Night Gate. If you pay me, I'll figure it out for you. What had happened was, one day I got to reading that shit, you hear me? Trying to do some research for some people, you hear me? Just like I did law case. I've been beating people murder cases, you hear me, for almost over a decade. That's not new to me. Keep in mind, right? A lot of people be like, "Oh, we're just going to troll." I say, "Yeah, I can have you kill." Like that. That's not even new to the government. Knowing me and my homeboys kill trolls. We got all type of justified homicides on court records. You hear me, for over decades. That's not new. Oh, this nigga sitting here watching me. My homeboy been to blow your motherfucking brains out. You hear me? Real talk. You hear me? Judge, throw the case out. Yeah, you're trolling. We're not public, quote unquote, politicians, you hear me? We're executives, you hear me? You come around us playing like that, you hear me? That's called molestation and harassment. We can kill you for that. I ain't got to use another person's case. I use my own case for why we killed you for that. They gonna kill again, you hear me, if necessary. Like, remember Dave Chappelle was telling gay people about the baby. They said, you do know that nigga killed a nigga broad daylight in Walmart. So just take heed to the games, the type of people you're around when you around here trolling and playing, and nigga just get up and blow your brains out. You hear me? You around looking crazy. You hear me? Nigga piss on your grave and still be around this joint. You hear me? Smoking, drinking, having a good day. You a buster out here, nigga. You hear me? Stay away, fool. What you thought was gonna happen? You was just gonna sit there, troll, you hear me? You wasn't gonna get killed for it? Not in this lifetime, homie. Only difference is the military said, well, since you do have that authority, let us get in on some of the killing. I said, well, have at it then. Because I legally can delegate authority, yeah, to the attorney general, you heard me, so she can do what she see fit with your bitch ass, you heard me. But initially, it was me doing it to you, you heard me, truth be told, you heard me. That's why my homeboys win their cases and their trials, right? You hear me? Because we already know that crooked cops and crooked district attorneys send people our way to see if they control, and we normally kill them for it. Because those aren't gang bangers, you hear me? Those aren't street people, right? You hear me? Because truth be told, everybody loved the weed man. In the real world, the weed man had never been looked at as a bad guy. The weed man is like Dave Chappelle type, what the movie, Hell-Baked type niggas, the How High Harvard niggas. See, faggots tried to get a hold of even the weed game. You don't even smoke weed. You a faggot. That's the truth about it. And when you do, you hear me, it's for clout chasing purposes. That's not your culture. But like I said, if you watch the movie about California with Johnny Depp in a movie called Blow, what were they doing to Johnny Depp in the movie Blow, the homosexual? He was sitting around hoping one day Johnny Depp would have did business with him so he could take him away from his daughter so he could do a life sentence. Watch the effect. This is what they call Boston George. This is the history of the homosexuals, and they been rats, big rats, you hear me? Always been rats. Don't work though on pimping, do it. Remember, there's 30 dynasties of Pharaoh. Which one was never caught in the harm conspiracy? Pimping. Remember, the word pimping don't really mean, like I said, study Sawan Anderson, Economics of Dower and Brad Price. Pimping has nothing to do with selling women. It has something to do with engendering women. Like pimping is short, right? Remember, in the time of the Franks, right, or the Moravian dynasties, right? Pimping is short. Who put Charles out of business? When King Charles was ruling, pimping show up, it's over with. Study royal families, you hear me? That little pimping nigga, when he show, it's over with. I don't give a fuck with King Charles, whoever. You know nothing about royalty and royal families. Like I said, that's a distinction. But the word pimping, see, Brad Price is selling women. That's a bad idea because that means anybody can pay her and she'll commit treason. But pimping is dowry, that's engendering. That's what they were saying in Genesis 38 in the Bible. The woman had a legal claim, right? You hear me? Because she had been pimped. Pimp don't mean she was sold. That means she was pregnant. You hear me? By royalty. That's how you create a joint venture and what they call in business and what they call today a treaty. But keep in mind, you can have the paperwork for a treaty or a peace agreement, right? But that's called the B1, it's B1, B2 visas today, right? You hear me? But if you never consummate it, right? Say, for instance, there's a deal broker between Israel and Palestine, right? But there still had to be a zabug, as they say in Aramaic, right? Where is your John Maccabees Hanukkah niggas? Because if you're basing it on me, you hear me, I'm telling you, I ain't fucking with these hoes from 9 months. That's a scientific, now crook in the fan, yeah, I could do that. Because that's a sickness in their brain, you hear me, that they dealing with. And these men that dealing with these RICO acts and these indictments, I ain't got time to incorporate that into my company right now. You still got a couple leeches trying to sneak into the synagogue and shit, you hear me, attached to your dead weight. I can't have that shit, you hear me, disease and plague in my business. Nah, I'm cool on that. And this is a scientific, astronomical fact that by the time you figured it out with OnlyFans and Crookin' Fan, right? What they call crook and flail. When you see the Pharaoh like this, mean, hey, bitch, I ain't with none of that. You hear me, right? You hear me? I'll holler at you later. You're caught in a scandal. It'll take 9 months scientifically for you to birth a new conscience because you crazy. Because they said Satan will become a saint in 9 months and the prostitute of Babylon will become the Virgin Mary. Now, how true it is, I don't know, because ain't nobody never done it, you hear me, in history besides the people they say made these treaties. They say Bumper Johnson, in the time of Lucky Luciano, he done it. The Hasselasi Rastafari, his name was Mark John too, they say he might have done it. King John, Treaty of Tordesillas. When a treaty is made like that, that means, yeah, it's happening. But obviously the success hasn't endured long enough because some type of way we always end up either when the rulers ain't there, you hear me, right? You hear me? We get old and have to pass some type of way the shit always fall apart. Like a lot of times my pop said, man, why you haven't? I said, cause truth be told, without me, you hear me, this place would be overrun with homeless people and crackheads all over again. The Walk of Fame turned to the Walk of Shame all over again. And be back around here anarchy, burning down houses for insurance money. Instead of the businesses making money, you hear me, there'll be construction and no entertainment. Everybody be bored to death, you hear me, in the place that's supposed to be the epicenter of prestige and entertainment. But just scientifically speaking, within 9 months, you hear me, they say at this point in the game, everything should be solved. They say Satan became a saint and the prostitute of Babylon became the Virgin Mary. Now, the shit is crazy to me, you hear me? But I do know that I studied the canon law, right? The Tobit stories, right? You hear me? How the bitch possessed by 7 demons, you hear me? When she met the real ruler, nigga, the Masito story type niggas, you hear me? That she did, in fact, come out the scandal. I don't know if it's true. I guess I had to wait 9 months, but I ain't waiting 9 months on my money. That I ain't gonna do. That I ain't gonna do. Publishing reports, distribution reports, you hear me? I want my money every week, every day if I can, you hear me? Every month, you hear me? I want my money coming non-stop digitally. All day, every motherfucking day. Real, you hear me? Now, if you want to deal with crumbs and peanuts, have at it. Right, you hear me? You want to chill with child molesters and shit, have at it. But as far as me and my house, as they say, we gonna serve the Lord. That's on you. And not the one that turned the other booty cheek, the other Melchizedek nigga, the black one, you hear me? Not the white one, you hear me? Whose name could possibly be a female. It's still up for debate. But the black one or the Melchizedek, we know that's a nigga. And remember, that was the truth about Melchizedek. Remember, Abraham said, look, my Melchizedek, all this shit is yours. Melchizedek said, look, what the fuck I'm gonna do with all this money? Look, just give me about 10% of this shit. The rest of this shit, you figure out what to do with it. And some of the good, he said, look, man, I won't even pluck your shoe. Pluck your shoe means you ain't even got to date none of these hoes to get your money. We just gonna give you yours, you hear me? The rest of them got to figure it out. That's the order of Melchizedek. I ain't got to date nobody. That's when Sawan Anderson was basically trying to teach the economics of dowry and bride price in Canada, British Columbia University. That's what she was calling a non-business model. A non is actually a woman, you hear me, that got out of a scandal and joined the covenant. Right? And she only date the high priest, right? You hear me? You have the Levitical priesthood, but before the Levitical priesthood was what? The order of Melchizedek. That's one person. Right? A lot of time white people trying to get free content and shit, you hear me, around black people. I'll be glad when they get to a point in life where they can make their own content. That's why I say 9 months of sickness in their brain, you hear me, right? You hear me, before they get out the scandal. Truth be told, right? You hear me? So that's the whole social status delineation movement, right? Because when you're caught in scandals like that and you can cause some of these companies to lose millions, maybe billions of dollars, that means somebody's trying to kill you. I don't want to be seen around you or near you if somebody's trying to kill you. My little brother told me today that one of his partners was hanging with a nigga that was in a fraud scandal. The nigga blowed him in the nigga ass he was next to off. Killed both of them. See, I don't hang with niggas, you hear me, man. When you caught up, you on TV for pedophile and children, RICO acts, tax fraud. Hey, don't sit next to me, man. Out of respect, man. Somebody's trying to kill you now. Yeah, some of those kids that you pedophile and sold, they might have growed up and want to blow your ass off, you hear me? I don't want you next to me, you hear me, when the gun, and that's really why, you hear me, a lot of people try to stand next to me because you think you're going to inherit my immunity. You not. Somebody trying to kill y'all out here, and I'm aware of it. I'm in the streets every day. Ain't nobody looking for pimping and hurt to do no hurt. If anything, I'm gonna kill somebody, you hear me, before a motherfucker kill me, you hear me. I ain't got to though, you hear me. I done stepped on the people I need to step on. Well, Moneybag Yo, he said, I don't speak about my ops because them niggas dead. It's some niggas wish they could beef with me, you hear me? I'm like, well, you don't even have to. See, that's the reason about the frauds, you hear me? They couldn't even create a fake scenario that we was enemies. So you had to be in business with a person for them to become your enemy. Like, nigga, you don't do no business with me. That's the whole point. All my money's in the digital world now. It's a movie called True Lies, right? You hear me? Even criminals know this shit, right? You hear me? Even if you was a criminal. That nigga told that nigga, I brought your whole company into the digital age. Nigga, you should thank me. You hear me? Nigga, my whole royalties, I don't give a fuck if it's coal or diamonds. You hear me? All that shit went to the digital world. Like the internet, you hear me? It's there, you hear me? You just can't see it. That's why you sick around here. But what we do know is you ain't got shit going on. You ain't got a book, album, movie, or nothing. You hear me? The content you do got ain't worth ain't worth a quarter. You hear me? My artist went platinum. That's just my artist, and he ain't bigger than me. See, a lot of these people, right? You hear me? Like I said, you have no talent. The women, right? If everybody done had sex with you, you hear me? Like I said, it's the economics of dowry and bride price. I wouldn't recruit none of these women because economically speaking, you're worthless at this point. Think about it. But I say supply and demand. All these men had sex with you, right? The demand for you, you hear me, truth be told, is low. Your price is worthless. Why would I bring these women into my company? From a business perspective, it'd be stupid. Now, 9 months from now, you might be worth money again, but for the next 9 months, you pretty gonna be still free OnlyFans or $1 bundles. You hear me? You worthless as long as you got busters around you. That's the truth about it. Everybody done had sex with you. Like who would watch a OnlyFans bitch on a major motion screen picture? You hear me? Like she's Kate Beckinsale or Katy Perry. Nobody would. Right? Your company got to start. LA Film School will call. Like that's why. Like when I see faggots trying to film. Like look at this nigga like trying to film me and shit. These are people like from LA Film School type shit, caught in a fraud scandal, like for real. So when I see white people with cameras, like, no, your whole school is going to jail, you hear me, for a RICO Act conspiracy charge. You ain't doing no damn research, fool, you hear me? You're trying to figure out how you can get me on camera with you to get a time cut on the RICO Act you're facing. I was showing some of my ex-classmates that shit yesterday. Like, nigga, stop doing that, homie. Like, for real. Cause it get to a point, it's sickening. It's sickening, right? You hear me? Like I said, we already know what RICO Acts is in the black community. That means you and all your friends going to jail for the rest of your life. You hope you can find somebody, you hear me, to help you get out your scandal. Hoping somebody mention your name. Like it's a man named Shawty Low with beefing with T.I. And Shawty Low had this song, mention Bankhead, please say my name. That nigga dead now. God rest the dead though, but I want y'all to look at how many niggas been out here clout chasing, got a bullet in their head. Young dog, yeah, yo got it, he dead now. You hear me? Like I said, it's the Halloween special. Look how many niggas, you hear me, wish somebody said they name, they dead people pissing on their grave. White people just like niggas sometimes, you hear me? You had this fantasy in your head. Hope somebody see you or say something to you. Look at the hip hop community. I got an email said the hip hop community is dead. No, these niggas start hanging around these clout chasing faggots. You Shawty Low type niggas, you young Dolph niggas. Please say my name. Look, yo God, I'm having sex with your baby mama. Like, look at me. Look, all them niggas always end up dead, don't they? Look at the Migos and shit, right? With Sweetie and shit, right? That clout chasing shit. That nigga got a bullet in his head. Now, like I'm gonna be honest with you, man. One of the most dangerous things you can do in the world, you hear me, is keep trying to get somebody attention that don't want to talk to you. Because they might decide to want to talk to you one day. And it ain't gonna be about the shit you want to talk about. It's gonna be about the graveyard they gonna put you in. Just take that under consideration. Miss Universe, right? You hear me? Threw out a window with a suicide note. You hear me? Type shit. You hear me? Like for real. These Jezebels and shit. These prostitutes of Babylon. Remember, if you read the Bible, right? Jezebel was a bitch that didn't have shit and realized a nigga had everything. They said the dogs would lick her blood off the ground. What they say? True story. I threw the bitch out of 2 story. See, Halloween specials, right? You hear me? But you be talking How High 3, right? It's kind of funny because it's ironic, right? You hear me? The very shit that you hope somebody else got caught in, you got entrapped and ensnared your own self. They call it, the reason why it's comedy, because that's what they call Looney Tunes. But in the real world, the Looney Tunes died on it. In the real world, the Looney Tunes die. The real world, Looney Tunes get indicted and do life sentences. Like Big Meech just got out of jail this year. That was 20 years ago. You know that nigga, you know what he was saying the whole time? Young Jeezy, please mention me. He like, bro, why would I mention you? You trying to get me caught up with you? Like, what's wrong with your brain? A lot of people when they own it, like, man, truth be told, I don't, like, even in the movie The Godfather, them niggas in that joint, come on, Corleone, ain't we in the same family? He like, no, we're not related. What are you talking about? And the bad part about this, see, they probably could play it off in the movie Godfather. I'm a whole nigga over here. I'm not a descendant of nothing you from. I'm a ascendant. That's different. Truth be told, like I said, the only real Jewish family that in royalty, right, is the John Maccabee. What Gerald Massey could say, the John, the Mark John nigga, and W.B. Du Bois would elaborate, say, no, it's Johnson Murray Gray, you hear me? Or what they call a Merkel, but it's the same shit. But keep in mind, your name is Finkelstein. That ain't got nothing. You with the synagogue of Satan. Like, keep in mind, right? When Farrakhan say white devil, is he inaccurate? No. What is the first European nation? Greece. What did they call Greece the first white nation? The Hellenistic age, the people from hell, the devil. Now, is this a historic fact or am I making fun of them? That's a historic fact. But when you don't know science, right, you don't know chromosomes, you don't know the English language, right, you don't know reading, writing, and arithmetic, how in the fuck you gonna know history? Shit, we ain't even gotta get in the law because all of them categories, you already ignorant in all that shit. So what we have now, right, you hear me, we having real professional conversations about money, and you got a whole bunch of stupid motherfuckers around, you hear me, in Congress talking. And it get to a point like, hey man, just kill these people, you hear me? Get these folks up out of here, because they clearly wasting everybody's time, you hear me? And that's the truth about how Donald Trump and them is really looking at it at this point. Because there's nothing you can do with a person with that level. They were saying something today, what is the definition of people who keep doing the same thing over and over again? Insanity. Trump said that's true. That's why he did something different. He took my advice. That's why in the Big Beautiful Bill it's called the CHIP Social Security Act. You ain't CHIP, I am. He don't even have say-so over it. That's the truth about it. And you in there hoping you can twist his arm to convince him to go against me, and you can't. Why? Because you tried to assassinate him twice, and you tried to give him a life sentence. I just told him stop trying to use women to meet men. That ain't the same thing. See, I argue with my mom and dad about something if necessary. It's called constructive criticism, elaborating on things. I said, well, Taj Tariq Bey, I understand what you're saying about black, white, but that's photosynthesis. You're not really elaborating on that properly. And truth be told, that the Homestead principle go to the gravestones. You hear me? That's the truth about it. And there ain't none of these folk graves. I said, you do know in England, they had a Council of Trent for trying to use men to meet women. That's why the people in London don't have a last name no more that say grave. They just have one name, a first name. Think about it. For committing treason, they lost the royalties. That's the truth about it. Are they still trying to steal resources out of America? That's why Harry was so desperate to marry Meghan Markle, because he don't have access to money no more. None of them do. That's the truth about it. Because they not graves anymore. They removed the title of grave from them for committing treason. Using women to meet men. The prostitute Babylon con gang. That's why they don't have a last name anymore. Now, they can call themselves whatever other name they want to, but they won't be able to consider themselves Greys anymore. Matter of fact, W.B. Du Bois say the real Greys, the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, are people that live in Arkansas and Tennessee today. They moved to Memphis. That's why Memphis is not in Egypt. It's in Tennessee now, and it's called Cairo over there because they committed fraud, and the Pharaoh moved the capital, just like you can move your company. And see, that's what really stressed white people ass out. If we were to take our companies and just leave you, you would become a desert. See, the company, like my company, right? You heard me. You DEI frauds and never be able to attach yourself to me because I can just change the address on the company. It's easy, it's simple. Or do an acquisition where the address is, you heard me, just decimate everything around it and take it over. That's the power of business ownership. An employee can't do nothing about that. You have what the Russian call that Bolshevik mindset. You're an employee but think you the boss. Till you get your ass whacked, you heard me, then you around here looking crazy. Cause I'm telling you, that's your preacher. That would be your preacher. Like a lot of these people in these film schools. I hope I can get Marcavis on. Like, dude, that's called copyright infringement, insider trade. But I ain't got to elaborate on it because you already been indicted for it. You truth be told, I ain't got to provide evidence on you. You evidence against your damn self. They like Marcavis is there. You gotta keep in mind, right, man? When it come to me, I have like satellite tracking type shit going on with me. You hear me? It'd be hard for you to explain how you end up in the same places I be at. You hear me? These people watch me every day. That's the truth about it. I'm like what they call a person of interest. Yeah, my phone been tapped for 20 years. You hear me? New to you, old to me. But yeah, you gonna find out the hard way. You're a young dummy. Yeah, I think they can get Hillary Clinton emails. I think they can get yours too. You're not that smart. Yeah, see, when I was growing up, right, you heard me, I come from the era where all your text messages are recorded, all your phone calls are recorded. They would play that shit back in court. That's why social media became such a great thing for street cats. So when people used to lie about what we were up to, we were like, no, that's the lie they telling. We look at our podcast, no, that's what we got going on. They were stalking in our background. And that's why nowadays you don't see black people facing the RICO Act, because we have our own podcasts, our own TV channels and shit now. Where back in the day, they could just put you on the line up and say, this is who black people are. No, that's who your faggot ass wish we were. You a stalker. This is who we are. Our money for real. We getting money. You ain't getting shit. You're stealing. You evidence against yourself. Like I said, LA Film School. What is the crime they committed? Stealing student loan money. And then we wonder why the schools are failing. And all the fifth graders are smarter than them. Like I said, what do women's rights come from? The 19th Amendment. What did the homosexual tell her rights came from? Roe vs. Wade. You ain't getting that wrong by mistake. That's a demon that fucked your life up. Now you lost your women's rights. You done lost your innocence pretty much, because you let every nigga have sex with you. And now we got to deal with the scientific experiment called turning the prostitute of Babylon into the Virgin Mary, which is a damn exorcism in the Book of Tobit, which is virtually pretty much impossible, because I never seen it happen. That's the thing they say, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. We've never actually ever seen it happen in human history. Now, are there fairy tales about it? Yeah, the Book of Tobit is a fairy tale. So like I said, some people's mind is fucked up like that. I said the only thing I could probably do from a scientific perspective is to show you where you fucked up in life and how you went from $150 million girl, like the Vanessa Bryan ladies, to $1 OnlyFans bitches, or what we call $2 hoes. And from that science, they say, astronomically, within 9 months, you'll get that faggot away from you, you hear me? And then we'll come back and talk to you again about it. But till then, it's called crook in the fan in Egyptology. That's about the only time you hear only communication, logically, scientifically, that I should ever even have with you. Because right now, you're hanging with men that got STDs, AIDS, and syphilis, and gonorrhea. That's another thing that men have to think about. These women are fucking homeless men and faggots that got STDs, AIDS, and syphilis. We can't have sex with you because you need to go to the, you need some antibiotics, some penicillin or something, because you got a disease, man. That's the truth about it. Not only is your mind sick, you hear me, your body's sick. That's the truth about it. Everybody know all these folk got STD, AIDS, and diseases around them. So yes, of course, we don't want you or them around us. That's a sickness. If a motherfucker had COVID, I wouldn't want them around them, let alone AIDS or syphilis and STDs. But you don't know what none of that shit mean, because you still can't get XY chromosome, right? You can't get the English language, right? You can't get economic supply and demand, right? So you damn sure don't know nothing about history or the law, so ain't no use even telling you about the constitutional laws and amendments, right? And how they're practical applications of it. Stupidity is the new COVID. But what we get to a point in government is not the fact that it's shut down. What's shut down is they brain, because they dumb, you hear me? So we got to get these damn fools, you hear me, up out the office, and that's the only solution. Because all of them are stupid, literally, you hear me? And even if they had admitted that they got it wrong, it's still fraud, you hear me? They still going to be charged, you hear me? So you holding on to the lie ain't doing no good, because the other side is educated. They already know that. So, and then when you admit that you're wrong, then you're going to be charged, so you still lose. That's called checkmate. If you lie, you heard me, just keep flogging about your DEI, you heard me, it's still check. And then even if you admit you heard me that you lied, you heard me, that's still checkmate, you heard me. That's ball game. That's ball game. That's skunk. It's impossible for you to win in that situation. You can't do nothing but surrender in a situation like that, because you're finished. Even a dummy, you hear me? No, you hear me? That financial aid come out a couple weeks before school starts. The film industry is over in Hollywood. It's over. Now, is filming over? No, but is the film industry over? Yes. That's over with. I'm filming right now, so obviously the filming ain't over with, but is the film industry in Hollywood over with? Yes, that's over with. Those are self-inflicted wounds, right? You hear me? Because truth be told, if you had actually paid the students the money they had, then they would have made better movies, better products, better services, right? And then when they became professionals and made bigger money, they would have really put their heart, because they probably had talent before you took their manhood from them. That's true about it. Before Russell Westbrook had a dress on, he was a top 10 basketball player. Before Young Thug put a dress on, he was one of the top 10 rappers in the country. You fucked them people's careers up. You did that. That's a problem. You women created that problem. It ain't because it ain't the faggot. The faggot is just listening to you because you gave him some coochie. You hear me? And you trying to console him, and he a whole loser. See, like I would tell my homeboy that, I said, see, think about it. If you ain't never got pussy in high school and middle school, say for instance you went to player in school, the first time you ever get some pussy, it'll fuck your head up. A lot of these men are complete losers. Some American Pie losers at that. Like I said, watch the movie American Pie and it'll show you the origin of a prostitute of Babylon on how you create a homosexual. Watch the movie American Pie. I'm going to end on this note. It's a movie called American Pie. I can't remember what the man's name is, but I'm going to show you what these women did to these men. I want to say one or two. These men, right? Keep in mind, the one that's always meditating, you hear him, he the one know how to fuck, because he's studying the Kama Sutra, what I call 101 sex positions, 64 arts, about the crook in the fan. So when he do get hold to a bitch, he done told that my mama ass up. But the other ones, right, remember these hoes had these dildo in the movie American Pie. They got these dildo. Not to come through with Mark, John, Dylan, and Renee, the Holy Family, and Egyptologist, my last pope. They got these dildo, and they say, well, I'll touch her, or let you touch me if you touch him. And that's how homosexuality was created. Now, can we say that that's just a movie? Remember, there used to be a place called Hustler, Larry Flint. A woman in the 1990s, her name was Barbara something, right? She was a former porn star. And she said that she had studied what's known as tantric art, or what you call crooking fan, or what they call OnlyFans today. She was studying tantric art and tantra yoga. She said we had learned the sex magic, you hear me, from aboriginals, and we went on and taught it to our gay brothers and went out spreading AIDS in the world. This is a goddamn book she wrote, you hear me? Y'all did that. You created the very disease you asking for funding for. Now, like I said, that's hilarious, and it's ironic that you will be asking for money for the very shit, you hear me, that you created. And Trump, like he told Karen Bass when they burnt them houses down and then asked for the insurance money, he said, hey, I ain't giving you shit. But that's how it was created. Homosexuality in the movie American Pie. Women, yeah, when you touch him, then I'll let you touch me. And Barbara, you heard me, and Hustler. That's why they really wanted to close Hustler after Larry Flint died. Because that Hustler actually had a library. See, it wasn't so much necessary that I was really studying the women and the bitches, but it was part of my climate change, biodiversity studies, and reforestation. So I used to spend, I was at Hustler a lot, but I was mostly in the library. I have a habit of just reading books, because my granddad used to buy what y'all call programs today. We had missions growing up. It ain't just white people that do missions, but every time he would buy a house, he would put a library in it for some strange reason. So he got so many houses in Memphis, I just go to the different ones. I would just read the library. So I have a habit of just going to the library looking for rare books. Even in the Library of Congress, when I was in DC, I just always looked for rare books. And I fucked around, I found the book, I said, damn, that's the American Pie story, but this was a true story. And that's how it happened to him. So, if that'll kind of clear that my podcast, because that's a horror story. I would say that's a Halloween story, wouldn't you say? That's scary. That women are spreading AIDS and diseases in the world and asking for funding for it. Homosexuals at the LA Film School, right? You hear me? Have literally stole the students' money. That's scary, right? They've been pedophiling children, right? You hear me? Raping women. That's Halloween story. Right? You hear me? Like, look at this guy right here, right? You hear me? Look at this shit. Like, this is sickening, homie. Like, you mean to tell me, like, how did you end up recording at the same place I'm recording at the same time? That's stalking. That's harassment. That's faggot shit. Right? I want y'all to look at these people. Look how sick these people are. That's a sickness, you hear me? Right? You see, and look, security, you don't think people, that's the security people, that's a sickness, you hear me? Like they didn't know, you hear me, I was recording right here. See, these faggots out, that's why I don't fuck with white people. Like, for real, whenever people ask me why you shouldn't fuck with white people, look how sick they are, you hear me? They're a sick race of people. That's a sickness. Like like I said, you study Mystical Lives of Native Americans, Manly P. Hall. He said, you can't fix that shit. Even if you're an Aboriginal. He said, yeah, still go to the little spots where the resources are available that the Aboriginals and the mystics had put together, even though the mystical priest is there, because the women pick the senators, but she can't pick me, the high priest. God chose me to do this. But that's a sickness, right? You hear me? For people to come around you just recording while you're recording and trying to pretend, you hear me, that it's normal. That's a sickness called leprosy. What is leprosy? A white person that can't understand how their skin went from black to white. Jesus couldn't even solve it. So the Aboriginal Indians said, if Jesus can't solve it, we know damn sure we ain't gonna try to solve that shit. It killed him. You can't, that's nothing, that's why 3 6 Mafia got the song, don't save her, she don't want to be saved. Leave them folks enslaved, and that's the truth about it. That's the only real advice I can probably leave any black people, man. When you see that damsel in distress, those Cinderella stories, those white people in those scandals, oh, black person help me out from this scandal, man, listen, let them, be like Scott, let them die. Don't be Batman and the Joker is falling about to die. Oh, Batman, I'm gonna stop committing crime. That very soon as you forgive them for that crime, they gonna take your ass out. You hear me? That's how white people are. Let them die in their sin. Let them fall. You hear me? Like I said, I don't care how much science. When we get back into the mathematics, science, and astronomy of it, they say it would literally take 9 months, at least for the women, at least. You hear me? Before they mind even be corrected. Remember, jail is a correctional facility. It'll take 9 months astronomically on some Martha Stewart type charges for these women out here before they mind is fixed. The men, they mind fucked up. It might take the men 10, 20 years. Some of them might have to get the Joker death penalty because they crazy. They fucked up in the head. That's a sickness that Jesus couldn't even fix. That leprosy. Remember that I was at Catholic Church today. I want to close out on this. They said Jesus cleansed 10 lepers. Only one of them, you hear me, came back, you hear me, and admitted that they had got help. I want you to think from a business perspective on return and investments, right? You hear me? Because I'm kind of tired of being distracted by faggots, right? You hear me? Because they take so much away from the class sometimes, like for real. That's why defunding is so important, because we don't want to put gas in your car for you to stalk people. We really don't. We don't want the fun, you hear me, stalkers, you hear me, rapists and pedophiles. We don't want no energy going toward it. And I'm going to tell you why, like, even Jesus made a fool of himself. They said out of the 10 lepers he cleansed, only one of them said thanks, but they still didn't never give him shit. So the next time you think you're cleansing a leper of their sickness and their disease, and a leper is in Leviticus 13, a black person that became white due to homosexuality. Because the man Naaman in Syria was guilty of, he had pedophiles from children. And they said he needed to dip himself in the Jordan River 7 times after he had pedophile children to get cleansed. Now, how true it is, I don't know. I don't know if you take 7 showers, all of a sudden you're going to be cleansed of some pedophilia. You hear me? I don't know. But like I said, a lot of this shit that they say in there, I haven't proven it. I ain't trying to figure it out. That what it said, though. Right? You hear me? I don't know how true that is. Right? Now, that shit didn't work in Acts 13 neither. You hear me? So I don't know if it worked. That's just what it say. If it do, but now Egyptology, the 9 months, I can kind of believe Gerald Massey and the Men in Black story with W.B. Du Bois, because even in Hebrew law school, they said it does take sometimes some people 9 months to birth a new conscience. right? They said we could teach you this shit in one day, the whole science in one day. Now, how long it take for you to understand what the fuck we just said? That's another story. I could teach you economics, Irakawa Embassy records, ancient light of the world, gross domestic products, gross national products, right? The different states, different countries, how agriculture and commerce work, general theory of relativity, its relationship to the Fibonacci sequence and not the Brown motion, right? Why it only work with aboriginals that's connected to photosynthesis and not other nations. But if you got what called the jealousy of leprosy, right, you heard me, and a lot of times, truth be told, helping a leper, you won't get a return on the investment. So me being the Aboriginal, like I said, Aboriginal is not a nation, it's a lineage, what they call blood type O positive. When you have diabetes, you got O positive, like what the Pharaoh say. You got A, B, and B. It's only 4 blood types on planet Earth. And when you start categorizing things like that, right, by nature, there's nothing that a leper could ever give me, you hear me, that would actually help me spiritually. That's the truth about it. There's nothing that they could give me by nature. Now, could I give them? Yes, but would it help me giving something to them? No, and I know that. So I don't even try it because it's stupid. So I don't look for nothing from them by nature, by me being an Aboriginal, which is an Indian. That is indigenous, an Aboriginal. That's a blood type, not a skin color. That's a blood type. Anybody with diabetes know that. So you're not no damn Indian. Even if you change your name to Johnson, Murray, or Grave, your blood type still ain't Opa. There are people sometimes, that's why they said nobody actually knows how the high priest could end up born on that day with that blood type, right? You hear me? Because sometimes the lineage jump like in Underworld Leprechaun. My dad didn't even get it. It went from his dad, it jumped over him, and then it came into me. Nobody really knows how that infinite shit work. You hear me? But we do know that it do work. The golden child shit. We do know that it do work. We don't know exactly how it works, and that's the science that we still study to this day. But we are very much well aware, like Manly P. Hall said, in the midst of the lives of Native Americans, the very people that's responsible for it. Even in the street culture, even in the priesthoods, right? You hear me? They very much know who be in charge. You hear me? Don't never fool yourself. They already know that. Like I said, I never needed no paperwork for Spanish and Asian people to know who I was. They already knew who I was. For our black people, they already knew that. But we have these lepers sometimes that like to lie, you hear me, and spread confusion. You hear me? I said, man, before I wrote a rap song, you hear me, I was already on the phone with Grant Cardone. What are you talking about? We ain't never been the same. Like Lil Boosie say, you say yes sir, and these are men that Snoop Dogg and them paid, Floyd Mayweather paid millions of dollars to, and they try to pay me, and I still turn it down. And not because I don't necessarily like white, but you gotta understand, I'm an Aboriginal. That's what that means. That means I can't necessarily receive spiritual things from people unless they Aboriginals also. Now here's the thing, there are some white women that's been found to have an O positive lineage. That's the only thing that shocked me, but they said that, but they are not the exact dynasties of Egypt. They are the continuation of the dynasties of Egypt, what they call the Russian sometime, or what they call the Byzantine Empire, and that's why I be chilling like this. Now, I bet that much I do know, because it's the only thing closest to a leper, right? You hear me? The Byzantine Empire that's directly connected with the last ruling pharaohs. You hear me? What they called during the time of Cleopatra and her brother Octavius. That's the only closest thing to it. That's the only relationship that we actually have. What they call the Archippus ministry, Emperor Nero, within the time of Mount Pompey. And after that relationship, some type of way they ended up in what's known as the Black Plague, the Dog Age, what they talk about in Giovanni Boccaccio, the Decameron. They fell back into homosexuality. So like I said, no matter how many times we study this shit, you hear me, as soon as they start back kicking it with faggots, they go back into the Dog Ages. Europe was in the Dog Ages. Doesn't mean they were black. No, that means what? They were homosexuals. With AIDS, diseases, and poverty. So Archippus ministry, even in the time of the 1st century, he couldn't even pick the shit. They fell right back into homosexuality, right back into the Dog Ages. Now we can try to put the devil in the hole and get him away from the faggots and do, but some type of way. So the smartest thing I can do with it, because it kind of looked like it'd fix itself. As the Master Mason, Manly P. Hall would say, he said they have to solve that shit themselves. Now you should be around, right? You hear me? So they know that there's hope. That's the only reason. Like, remember, even Levitical priesthood, they said the only thing you probably could get is just to be able to be around the priest, but you wouldn't get none of his money. to guide them. Say one day, you'll figure it out. Now, they say that day will be the next summer solstice. See you in 9 months. Dating wise for the women. For the men, I don't know. You hear me, right? You hear me. I've never seen it work before anybody. I've never seen it happen before. I believe I have a saying, if you were jealous of me 20 years ago, I think you still jealous of me 20 years from now. If you a hater when I first meet you and jealous of me when I first meet you, I believe you a hater and gonna be jealous forever. If you ain't never bought my book, album, or any of my products or services as long as I've been living, I don't expect you to start now. Shit, you ain't never bought a blunt from me, you heard me, or some weed. You ain't never bought a hoe from me. Hey, look, for real, then we might not never do business. Like, I can't help stalkers, rapists, and pedophiles, and I ain't gonna try. I'm not. Not my style. Now, if there is some people that can help you, your own people, just like in diabetes. That's why diabetes is a sickness. You have to find people of your blood type to help you. I ain't helping you do shit because it drained me. And I get nothing out of it. This is science. O positive lineage, right, you heard me, shouldn't help other lineages because it's a sickness to us. So you should find somebody in your family to help you. Right, you hear me? Because I ain't gonna get nothing out of helping you. Nothing, not a dime, not a penny. Right, like right now, I got another leopard. He just all in my face. His whole race of people out here I'm telling you, their race of people is sickening. It's sickening to us. And that's the truth about it. There's no hope for them. Like I said, Jesus couldn't fix it. The mescalized Native Americans say, if you're an Indian chief, don't even try to fix it. If they can't fix itself, fuck it. But the truth be told, what I do know is you're not going to be able to get out that RICO Act, you hear me? That's the truth about it, you hear me? At the rate you're going. But there's a man that you can talk to. He's called your president, Donald Trump. That's who you go talk to. You don't talk to Chip. Yeah, that's who you got to go find. Donald Trump, that's who you got to go find. Stop looking to be friends with black people that you never been friends with. I can see why you ain't got no real friends. Look how fake and phony. You a stalker. You uneducated. You stalking people. You raping children. You raping women and pedophiles and children. Who trying to be friends with you? You're not fly. You don't have any talent, right? You hear me? Not the next superstar. Who in their right mind is kicking it with you? Just in the real world. Who is going to the club with people that stalking people? Who is trying to chill at the restaurant with a stalker? Nobody. Who is trying to introduce I think my family are preachers and doctors. You think I would have you in my house? You're a sick person. If anything, they would have you arrested and probably on the coroner table with your body getting chopped up. That would be the proper solution, because that's the other job they got too at the coroner. And say the cause of death was stupidity. There's no help for lepers. I'm going to just be honest. There's no help. There's no hope for them. But the hope that they do have is in Donald Trump, and that's who they got to go talk to. Now, I'm pretty sure if you can't get through to him, you damn sure won't never be able to have a conversation with me. But that's your solution, and that's where you need to get to your people. Chip don't have an answer for you. I'm an Aboriginal. Scientifically, it's sickening to me, you hear me, to even think of it. Now, can you turn a hoe to a housewife? The birds are married to a prostitute of Babylon. I don't know. They say 9 months it could happen, though. I'm actually anxious, right? You hear me? I haven't done a scientific experiment in a long time to see if it would actually happen. I said, let me get this right. We finna National Geographic, the whole OnlyFans industry, make it look like they were doing something holy the whole time for the good of God and the Lord. I would love to see it happen. I used to run Lotus Flowers experiment in the ghetto when I was a dope boy and a pimp, you hear me? And it happened to me. That's how I became spiritual and religious. That's the truth about it. When I have seen a dead plant come back to life, I said, oh shit, I said that shit worked, you hear me? I had already kind of knew the paperwork, but I didn't really believe the shit for real. But the men, I don't know. And even if the women do figure it out, they still wouldn't be dating me necessarily. It's only one person. I'm only one person. Billions of women on planet Earth in 365 days in a year. You got to fix that. They still got shit to figure out on their own. But guess what? We can always be at the OnlyFans, what they call the Pharaoh call the crooking fan. That's what that means. and Egyptology. Y'all didn't come up with that. We did. No more than you came up with the weed industry. We did. Because that was used to be called human trafficking, the Mann Act, during the time of Jack Johnson and Bumper Johnson. None of this shit had nothing to do with your family or your lineage. None of it. The only people known for selling pounds of weed is niggas. But you have a bad habit of trying to steal Michael Jackson records. You got Prince, just anything black people got going on, you have a bad habit of trying to steal. That's why we don't want you around us when we creating content, nothing, because we get nothing out of it. And that's a draining thing, right? You hear me? Michael Jackson could bleach his skin white. You hear me? He's still losing money. So even trying to be like you is a bad idea. So I ain't trying to blend in. I'm not gonna need to make a fool of myself like that. Wesley Snipes all in Chris Tucker, all in China, and end up $20 million in debt. I ain't trying to go, nah, I'm straight. Science, you hear me, does not fail, never has, never will. Egypt and Saudi Arabia could become a desert, but the fourth dynasty chip pyramid gonna still be right there. That's the truth about it. Gay people are guilty. Homosexuality is the biggest crime known to man in 2025. That's the truth about it. That is the new human, what they call human rights violation, being gay. It's not even new. It always been, you hear me, satanic. Like, look at this shit here. Like, look, nigga, I'm a whole military type nigga. You don't think I see a homosexual just sitting there pretending to be on the phone while I'm recording my thing? Like, for real. Like I said, they have what's called collective lying, what we call systematic racism or systematic lying. They take turns lying. They whole race of people be somewhere else. They be sitting right next to us while we're working, stealing. Then go ask for funding, you hear me? They say, no, that's plagiarism. And all of this is to distract the students. So, like I said, what does domestic violence come from? What does these school shootings come from? These church shootings come from? That's a potential school shooter, church shooter right there. Because whenever you have somebody in your background, this is the last time I'm going to teach Article 4, Article 6. When you're doing public recording and there's somebody in your background, that is the person that is orchestrating the goddamn domestic violence in your neighborhood. This is constitutional law. That is, in fact, the people that's shooting up these schools and churches. Do not be confused about it. That's who doing it. You think them people made a mistake when they wrote the Constitution? They said when you're doing public records and you got these people doing all this weird shit in the background, all that shit right there, those the people that's committing terrorist acts in the community. But see, if you don't know science, you don't know your chromosome, you don't know your English, you don't know your arithmetic, the supply, demand, and all that shit, you can't get into the history, you can't get into the law code. Because if you would have knew that, you would know that that's what that is. You got a white person in the background, all my pop like, what is that? That's them the school shooters, them the church shooters, that's who they are. You got white folk running around. The whole film industry been indicted, you hear me? But you end up recording at the same place I'm recording, but you wouldn't record next to me at first. Those are the school shooters and the church shooters. Because on the other end, what do we have over here? Children. Right? Now the children are, that's why they say the sins of the father are not the same, the sins of the father don't become the sins of the children. That's why they say that, because the kids don't even know what the fuck going on at that point. But these grown-ass men did, you hear me? And that's why they guilty. So the kids won't be going down with them, though they wish they were. That's how sick they are. And the women won't be going down with them, because truth be told, in war, that's the whole, really, the 9-month period, because I don't really think it's the fact they're going to get their mind right. It's going to take 9 months, you hear me, for all they ass to be sentenced, these men around her, and sent the fuck up the river, because normally they keep the women, and what they say, to kill the soldiers, keep the scientists, or they call women assets, booty, spoils of war, and that's the truth about it. These people were Nazis. What do Nazis do? Try to control social interactions. What they would call, you hear me, Article 4 in the Constitution. They're guilty. You can't help them. So but all of a sudden when niggas is whooping their ass, you see them on TV, you hear me? They I'm scared of black people, him did it, and niggas getting bust upside and they can't fight. We already know that, you hear me? Can't fight, you hear me? Ain't down for no killing shit, you hear me? Whole military show up, them niggas show up, all that shooting and jump, all that shit, you hear me? They start crying like bitches on TV. Please stop the hate, stop the hate. That's coward shit. You ever see how two kids, you hear me, you be like, I told you stop fucking with him, you hear me? Then the other kid been to bust his ass, you hear me? Like, I told you stop fucking with him. Be same up, stop the hate, stop the hate. Can we all just get along? We are one. No, kill these people, you hear me? That's the only results I can do because of my tax status, you hear me? I'm a WAB and tax holder. As the chief of mission, when you do things like that, I call it suspicious activity that's worthy of being looked into for treason, Title 18 United States Code, death penalties, you hear me? And that's the only results I got for your motherfucking ass, and that's the truth about it. Because that's my job, you hear me? And you a coward, you hear me? So I better not never. So the next time you see that we are one shit on TV, I want you to remember all these faggots that was sitting around doing this for Article 4 violation, public record. You just in the background, you hear me? All that shit, you hear me? Stalking. Remember that. When you see them folks, come on, can't we just have peace? How we gonna have peace and you racist and jealous as a motherfucker around here stalking? No, there will never be no peace in a situation like that. There will never be funding. But we ain't putting no gas in the car so you can follow people around and stalk them like that. We don't want you to have shit, truth be told. Not a penny. We want you on trial, on TV for Saddam Hussein crimes, you hear me? And the same results he got, hung on TV legally. To make an example, you hear me, of how we deal with Satan, you hear me, in America. I'm going to leave on this. I'm an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States. I live the honor values. I always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. We stand ready to engage the enemy. You hear me? And destroy his ass. You hear me? Close combat. Foreign or domestic. You hear me? Yeah, the best, bitch.